In the quiet town of Plainfield, Wisconsin, stood a lonely farmhouse shrouded in silence. It looked ordinary from the outside, but inside, it hid one of the darkest secrets in American history. This is the story of Ed Gein, the man who became the blueprint for Hollywood's monsters. A story so disturbing, it blurred the line between fact and nightmare. Before the world called him the Butcher of Plainfield, Ed was just a quiet boy, born in 1906. His childhood was defined by isolation, a small farm, a strict mother, and a father who drank too much. His mother, Augusta, was deeply religious. She told Ed and his brother that the world was full of sin. Women, she said, were the root of all evil, and temptation was the devil's work. She raised them to fear the outside world, keeping them isolated from friends and neighbors. Every night, she read them verses from the Bible, not of love or mercy, but of punishment and fire. To young Ed, his mother was a prophet, and her word was the only truth he knew. When his father died, Ed barely reacted. His loyalty was only to Augusta. But when his brother Henry began questioning their mother's control, tension grew. In 1944, the two brothers went to burn brush on the farm, but only Ed came back alive. He told police he lost sight of Henry in the smoke, and later found him dead from apparent heart failure, but the body had strange bruises. Some believed Ed wasn't telling the whole story. No one investigated further. Plainfield was small, and Ed seemed harmless. 2 years later, his mother died. For Ed, it was the end of everything he loved, and the beginning of his descent. He boarded up her room, leaving it untouched, a shrine to the only person who ever mattered to him. Alone in that empty house, something inside Ed began to change. He started reading pulp magazines, stories of murder, death, and anatomy. The human body fascinated him, not with lust, but with a morbid curiosity. In the quiet nights, he wandered through graveyards, searching for what death left behind. He claimed later that he went into a trance, guided by something he couldn't explain. He would dig up graves of women who reminded him of his mother, and take pieces as keepsakes. The townsfolk thought Ed was odd, but harmless. He helped with chores and babysat children. No one suspected that inside his house, he was building a shrine made from the dead. By 1954, Ed's obsession had grown darker. He began visiting local hardware stores and watching women closely. One of them was Mary Hogan, the owner of a nearby tavern. She disappeared one winter night. Locals joked that she ran off to Chicago. Ed just smiled and said quietly, "She's not missing." But no one listened until 3 years later, when another woman vanished, and the police came knocking. It would be the night Plainfield lost its innocence forever, and what they found in that farmhouse would shock the world. It was November 16, 1957, a cold, gray morning in Plainfield, Wisconsin. Bernice Worden, a well-liked hardware store owner, vanished without a trace. Her son, Frank, returned to the store and found the front door unlocked, and blood on the floor. A sales slip showed the last customer had been Ed Gein. Police headed to his farmhouse, thinking they were investigating a simple missing person case. What they found inside would change the meaning of horror forever. The first officer entered through a side door and froze in silence. Hanging from the rafters was the body of Bernice Worden. No one suspected that inside his house, he was building a shrine made from the dead. The farmhouse was filled with things no one could have imagined. Furniture made from human remains, masks crafted from faces. Every room told the story of a mind broken by obsession and grief. Police later described the scene as a house of horrors beyond comprehension. Newspapers would call him the Butcher of Plainfield. But in that moment, Ed Gein sat quietly at the county jail. Calm, almost polite. He said he had been visiting graveyards for years, taking what he needed to feel close to his mother. He confessed without hesitation, as if describing the weather. When asked why he did it, he simply said, "I wanted her near me, always." The more investigators listened, the more unreal it seemed. He claimed that some nights he went into trances, waking up surrounded by things he couldn't remember making. Forensic teams catalogued over 40 items made from human remains inside the house. The small town of Plainfield became a media circus overnight. Reporters from across America flooded the streets, desperate to see the killer next door. People who once waved at Ed at the grocery store now stared in disbelief. He had lived among them for decades, unnoticed, unseen, unchallenged. Police questioned him for days, trying to understand his mind. Psychologists said he was deeply disturbed, shaped by years of abuse and isolation. He wasn't driven by hate, but by loneliness, confusion, and obsession. In his mind, he wasn't killing. He was trying to rebuild what death had taken away. He even admitted to trying on the faces of his victims, believing it helped him become his mother again. Doctors called it a complete psychotic break. To the world, it was pure evil. To him, it was love twisted beyond reason. Gain was declared insane and sent to a state hospital instead of prison. There, he lived in quiet seclusion, polite, soft-spoken, and oddly kind. Nurses said he read the Bible daily and never caused trouble, but everyone who met him felt the same chill, the sense that something inside him was missing. The farmhouse was eventually burned down, some say by angry locals, others call it an act of mercy. All that remained were ashes and rumors, whispers that the land itself was cursed. Gain's car, the one he used to haul his victims, was sold to a carnival as a sideshow attraction. People paid a quarter just to sit in it, laughing nervously, trying to make light of horror. But beneath the spectacle was a reminder: evil can wear the most ordinary face. The story of Ed Gein became more than a crime. It became a legend, and legends, as we know, never really die.